sexy bitches. The baby fish again. And today we're gonna talk about, I think it was important to talk about this. Nice. Because I've seen this, in comments and questions, the newcomers and non-newcomers asking about, problems on a specific style of atomizer, and that's the RTA. I think that's the most, where most people have problems with when it comes to building and wicking, more than the RDAs, RDTAs, and everything else. And I understand why, because I had problems at the beginning. Now with time, I've learned certain things and things that I look at before I actually start wicking and building my RTA, any RTA, right? So we're gonna dive down close, and I hope my camera picks up what I'm trying to show. And I'm gonna show you the things that I look at, for me to make a decision what build I'm gonna put in it and how I'm gonna wick it. All right. So let's go down below, up close, and sexually close. All right, folks, we're here, and let me show you what I look at when I get. First of all, I need to understand how to take it apart without fucking it up. So that's the first thing that I do whenever I'm getting an RTA. I try to take it apart without fucking it up, and checking for all the O-rings and everything, all the parts that are supposed to be there on the RTA. This is my deck. This is my actual tank. My chimney, my top cap, and my mouthpiece, and so on. So I understand the pieces. I understand how to take it apart, how to clean it, and so on. So the first thing I look at once I figure that out, how to take it apart and everything, is first of all, I look at my deck. My deck is the most important part of the RTA. So I look at the deck and I start looking at what I have. The first thing I look at is my wick holes. So I see the space. These are not even round. These are like half moons wick holes right here, right? So I have half moons, and then I have I have what, maybe 1 millimeter on depth, and I have this fucking little ring right here. This ring is just your wick keeper, basically. It just keeps your wick from moving, so when you're screwing on the top chimney, it won't get on the threads. It's actually removable. You can remove it if you want to. I don't recommend it, but you can. Now, so this is what I'm working as part of the wicking. This is the space. It's very small. It's a very small space. So I know that I cannot, automatically when I see it, I know I cannot put anything over 3.5 millimeters as far as coil diameter and have a full, wick in there. You can, but then you have to trim the tips and stick them in there. So what you're gonna be, when you do that, you have to be very careful, because if you cut it too much and you don't feel this top part, you're gonna have leaks. So, but just by basically looking at it, the largest coil I will put in here is a 3 millimeter, all right? I have enough airflow to cover a 3 millimeter, even a 3.5 millimeter, because I have a big ass airflow hole. So I know it can handle 3.5 millimeters, but that's not something I want to try first because of the wick holes. So that's one thing I look at. I look at the wick holes, I'm looking at the airflow, and I'm looking at my deck size, my spacing between the deck. So there I can tell that, it can take up to 3.5, but I'm gonna start at 3 millimeters, in my first try. Now, once I put my coil in, I don't want to be stretching my coil over the distance from this here, where you put your first leg and the other leg. So my coil cannot be bigger than this size. So that's the size of my coil. That's my measuring. I don't want to. You can if you want to stretch it, but you're gonna have it offset. You're gonna have your coil sticking out more than where the leg is. So it's gonna be kind of in an angle. You can do that. I don't like to do that. It's a preference thing. Another thing, you can do a space coil. You can do a compressed coil. Spacing coils works when you're using temperature control. That's when it's best to use space coils. If you're gonna be using straight wattage You don't need to put space coils. You can put them all, just crimping together. The spacing benefits mostly on temp control because you won't get any hot spots. It'll glow evenly all the time. Temperature control works different than straight wattage, so you have to understand that it doesn't work the same way. So spacing is mostly recommended when you're using temperature control. If you're not using temperature control, don't even worry about it. You can do it if you want to, but it's not gonna benefit much. And the thing is, when you don't wick it correctly, you're gonna get those popping sounds, and you might get a little bit of spit back. So you gotta look at that too. So this is what we look at: the spacing, the airflow it has, what it can handle, and the wicking space. So that's the first thing I look, and automatically 3 millimeter, and it's not gonna be more than, let's say, 8 wraps or 7 wraps. Now material, you got stainless steel, you got nichrome, you got Kanthal. So based on the ohms that you want your coil to be at, that's the material that you use. Of course, most of the time I go for nichrome or stainless steel, but that's just my preference again. So what I would do is put a 3 millimeter coil here, wick it. I would cut my wicks exactly where this freaking rim is, right here. I'll just past the wick hole. And what I would do is I would get some tweezers with an offset tweezer with a little point, and I would actually get the tip of that wick and put it in the hole. Just place it in the hole a little bit. And what I would do with this pick, then I would just start, putting it in place. I want to have a fully stuffed, hole right here with the wick. The bottom part, I don't want it fully stuffed. I want the wick there, but I don't want it packed there. I want it packed up here, but I don't want it packed down here. I know it's hard to look at this fucking phone camera shit, but I don't want the bottom part where it actually feeds the juice to be completely packed. I just want the top part so it won't leak into my air hole, and then I have leaking on my actual deck. So I will pack this part right here, and then I would, on the bottom, I would just leave it a little bit, either floating from the very bottom, or I would just, take it out again, trim a little bit off of it, and then pack it again and have, 75% of the cotton on the bottom feed flow, and 100% on the top where the hole is. So that's what I would do, and that's what I started doing. At the beginning, I was packing everything. It will be fine, but the thing is, I will get dry hits if I would start chain bamping it. The reason why is because it wasn't flowing correctly, because I would actually suffocating the flow. So that's the thing. If you get dry hits, it's probably most of the time going to be bad wicking. So that's how I will study that. Then I will have my spacing on my chimney. So I see my space on the chimney, I see where my threads are, and I see the space that I have. So I know that my coil positioning cannot be too high. Even if I prefer it higher, I cannot have it too high because I don't want that shit touching the inside of my chimney. So I have to watch for that, because that spacing, it is important too, as far as how much vapor you get, unobstructed into your mouthpiece. So I check that too. Now, drip tips. Drip tips are important. With this kind of tank, you are limited to that size hole. So in a way, it is designed for a 510. But, there's some that you can actually do 510, or you can do any other type. So you're going to be the judge depending on the build, depending on the amount of vapor that you like and you want. So those are the things I look at, and that's how I base myself when I get a brand new RTA, how I'm going to wick it. So I study the anatomy of how it's constructed, what space do I have, what can it handle, all that. I would not put a Juggernaut freaking coil in here, because the space is so small that I know I'm going to be overheating the fuck out of it. So I mean, even if you lower the wattage, you're overbuilding this RTA, and there's no purpose of overbuilding an RTA if it's not going to perform well. So that's my take on RTAs. That's my take on how I do when I'm gonna wick something. There's some that the only way I can fucking wicken is getting them and making long ass wicks, and I have to cut them at an angle and get basically just the very tip, like on the bottom, and everything else is on top. It all depends on the RTA again. Not all RTAs are built the same way. So there's a similar principle, but it's not the same fucking design. So that's things that you have to look at. So this basically, trying to explain to you. Don't get discouraged when you get an RTA and you say, well, oh, this one sucks because I get dry hits. Oh, this one sucks because I don't get good flavor. Oh, this one sucks because it gets too hot. So it's not the RTA's fault 95% of the time. There's some shitty ones out there, but 95% of the time, it's gonna be your fault. It's gonna be you, the one wicking and coiling this fucking RTA, this fucking it up. So now let's go back on top to finish up. All right. I hope that you catch my drift, if you know what I mean. And I hope this video might help somebody, anybody. It doesn't matter if it helps one person. The time that I invested in it is fucking worth it. So, yeah, just whenever you get an RTA, just look at it, study it, think about it before you actually build it. And don't get discouraged. I mean, try different ways, try different things, look at videos, get ideas. Just think of, just how fluid or how your juice will actually flow or get in there, and the actual atomizer will tell you, this is how I like it. So, once you start figuring that out, it's gonna make it fucking easy. I mean, it's gonna be easy, and you're gonna learn it, and you're gonna appreciate that RTA for what it is. Of course, I'm not saying every out of my RTA is the greatest one. No, there's some that have faults and shit, but once you get a good one, and you might not be getting the full potential of the RTA. You might not be getting what you want, or you might be getting dry hits. You might be getting not the flavor that you're looking for. You might be getting, it's getting too hot. Shit like that. So that's what you need to look at. That's that. I mean, I'm just giving you an idea. I'm not saying you have to do it the same way, but what I'm saying, just take the time and learn the atomizer, because those RTs are the ones that give people the most trouble at the beginning. Once they learn, to wick one or two the right way, all the other ones, it's just going to be just easier and easier and easier every time. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope it helps somebody, and I'll see you soon again. Bye-bye.